Thank you.
Now we are going live. So we are starting. A very good morning. Welcome again to our monthly talk series on Fasal se Safal. And today you'll be hearing yet another renowned personality who will talk on ensuring sustainability of resources and promoting skill-based entrepreneurship in maps. We welcome our lead speaker for today, Professor Ravinder Rana. Hello, sir. We have with us Professor S.P.S. Kanuja, hello sir, and Dr. A.K. Singh sir with us today. I request Professor Kanuja to please initiate the session as usual. Sir, please.
Thank you, Dr. Manika. First of all, I welcome Professor Ravinder Rana, my old friend. I think I know him for now almost 2.5 decades. We have been associated on many fronts, and one of them which really brought us too close was on bioprospection. It was a network program by Department of Biotechnology, where Professor Rana used to come from Jammu, from his university, and I used to go from CMAP, leading the team on bioprospection from CMAP. And that was the time. And since then, we have been interacting on various subject matters. Dr. Rana, I also interacted with him when he was in MIT University, professor there, while we were visualizing a network program on Moringa, which could be a national umbrella, and many other activities. I would say that Dr. Rana has a knack for plants. And within the plants, he is not only able to identify them through botanical means, but also sees a chemistry within them. And his main aim has been high altitude plants, Himalayan plants, where the rare molecules occur. And today I'm so happy to see him leading and having founded and now leading Rana Naturals, which is going to give us the products which I would say, the society can really rely upon, because the authenticity is a big issue when we talk of any herbals. In fact, there are terms which have been utilized like herbs, herbals, herbal products, herbal drugs, and so on. And most of those businessmen, they take ease of it to use it and putting large claims, big claims, or tall claims on the utility of them. But through the association that Dr. Rana has with Flora Fauna Science Foundation, we found him also to be very, very cautious on the quality issues and also the label issues which the products can carry and mislead the society. So today we are going to have listen to him on various aspects of medicinal plants towards the sustainability on one hand, the utilization, and then also the skills for entrepreneurship, which is very, very important when the young generation is thinking of becoming employers rather than seeking employment. And Dr. Rana, by example, has set up that by making this organization. Just to remind our viewers that Flora Fauna Science Foundation, which provides this munch, I welcome you all to this platform. Namaskar. And also welcome Dr. Rana, Dr. A.K. Singh, and Manika, and many others who have joined us through various links, including YouTube and then later Facebook also. Uh, we are an organization which is not a typical NGO. It is a society, it is a professional society which is based on a concept. And the concept is that science and society move together. It is not that one is giver and other is taker. We take so much from society, even on knowledge domain, through Flora Fauna Science Foundation, and pass it on to R&D organization or institutions, and also take knowledge part of organizations like universities and institutes, CSIR, ICAR, ICMR, and so on, and take it to the society with the aim of reaching the unreached. And we have every year a theme on which we run this web series. And as you know, last year it was Krishi Se Khushi, happiness from farming. And this year it is Fasal Se Safal, which is offshoot of that theme only, that how do we really convert our crops for the harvests into a success? And that success obviously has to be on two fronts. Both in short form are called eco. Eco is economics and eco is ecology. So when we take care of both these ecos, it starts making sense. And today's title also talks about sustainability and entrepreneurship, and that is how this eco shows, that it is so important for us. One of the things that we always now have started worrying is the climate change. Climate resilience is an issue which is coming as the foremost issue, even if it has been ignored earlier by many. And we see that so abrupt changes are happening, like rains and thunderstorms or winds and so on, that they affect the crops, and the farmers get worried that how we are going to now take care of this damage that has happened. And that damage doesn't only happen at a level that we see as grains or rhizomes or fruits or seeds, but also happens at biochemical level. And that leads to poor quality of herbs or the material that we are going to produce as medicinal products. So all these issues become important. I'm sure Dr. Rena is going to educate us on these issues, and also telling us that how taking care of this and also the regulatory components, one can become a techno entrepreneur in medicinal plants and create the herbal products or plant products or phyto products, which society will get benefited both economically and health wise. So I'll not stand much now between you and Dr. Rena. I'll request Manika to take over for introduction of Dr. Rena.
Thank you, sir. So it's my privilege to introduce Sir. Professor Ravindra Rena is the founder and director of Rena Naturals and Educational Consultants Private Limited. He has around 38 years of post-PhD experience in teaching, research, and also entrepreneurial experience in maps, botany, minor forest products, and horticulture. He has served Amity Food and Agricultural Foundation, Amity University, Shulini University, YS Parmar University, and other institutions throughout his career. He has made significant contributions in the area of herbal plant domestication, pharmaceutically active biomolecules characterization, value enhancement, IPR, policy trainings, etc. He has handled projects from various reputed agencies and bodies such as ICAR, TBT, TST, NMPB, so on and so forth. Sir is a very important member of national community committees too, and have number of peer-reviewed papers and books to his credit. I know it's a very brief introduction, but most of us know you, sir, personally and through various media. So I request Professor Rena for his talk now.
Thank you, Dr. Manika, and My profound thanks to Dr. Khanuja for introducing me so well that I think whatever has been said or whatever is in anybody's mind about me, I am in no comparison to that because in my last 40 or 38 years and odd journey in plants, I have found the more you delve into it, the less we know about it. And this is true, especially when we are trying to build a business, bring in business component into this whole biodiversity situation. And who knows better than what is happening in the medicinal plants, especially because now this 21st century is going to be the century of life sciences, and with herbals being at the center of it. And once you are inside privy to many of the things that happen in this herbal sector, there are so many dimensions to this herbal thing that even if you specialize in one discipline or one component of herbal, you leave and leave aside all other components, we will come up as a cropper in most of the ways because the whole issue is so integrated, not only the science, the technological, the soft skills, the societal challenges, the expectations of the other from other segments of the society, that we have to have a more and more holistic understanding and holistic activity related to these medicinal plants. Because if I am strong in one component and not in other, I will not be able to deliver what is expected of me. I think I'll begin by sharing my slide, and probably I will be making a couple of points.
Yes, sir, it's visible. You can
Visible. Yes,
expand the slide. Yes.
yes.
Yes, sir. It's
Dr.
visible.
Monica and
Yes.
Dr. Monica have introduced me, and that I have had a journey, academic journey. Mostly, I still consider myself to be an academician, and it's only the entrepreneurship has come to me in the last couple of years only. And but even in there, I am trying to bring in as much of academics as I can because as an academician, I have felt many of the issues which have been extrapolated in herbals have roots in academics or knowledge at the academic level or fundamental knowledge about our. So I will not be talking much about them because that is beyond the preview of the topic that we have chosen to discuss here. The issue is then when we talk about sustainability and entrepreneurship, now is the time. Now is the right time to talk about medicinal plants and herbal medicine. Everyone knows that, but now is also the right time to integrate sustainability with entrepreneurship because if one has to be a successful entrepreneur, the sustainability has to be at the core philosophy of any enterprise. So we all know that over a period of couple of decades, last decade, the definition of medicinal plants has undergone a sea change. Earlier, it used to be a medicinal plant is that plant which cures some diseases, but now it is all holistic, prophylactic. Any plant which gives us a prophylactic as well as a therapeutical advantage is a medicinal plant. So the scope of medicinal plants within the committee of plants as such has expanded significantly. And most importantly, in the previous decades or in the maybe in the last 2 decades, there is a gradual integration, gradual that's happened, mainstreaming of herbal medicine. The herbal medicines before that, they were on the fringe as far as our society, as far as our consumption patterns is concerned, as far as our trade is concerned, commerce is concerned, as far as our public narrative was concerned. Now, slowly and gradually, because of people's realization, because of the economic standards have increased, And of late, thanks to in some ways to Corona, that we have been we have speeded up this process of mainstreaming of herbal medicine into our lives and markets, and that how we can analyze and understand that really mainstreaming has happened, that this markets have grown exponential, and there's a very impressive 7 to 10% of annual growth rates we are clocking. And now, when it comes to markets, when it comes to understanding how much the market size is concerned, because the market of medicinal plants is so huge and heterogeneous, especially, it's very difficult to measure the size of the market. As people, different agencies, different people, they have undertaken their surveys using different parameters, and there are some figures which are in domain. And even if we look at those figures from any angle, all these figures look very impressive. That in 2020, it was assumed to be the worldwide market, global market is about 657 billion US dollars, and essential oil separately is 40 billion by 2026, because now we are using more of aromatherapy, perfumes, cosmetics, etc., etc. And surprisingly, and it may not be surprise to most of you, but at a larger segment, it is a surprise. And when this came to my knowledge, it was also a surprise that within the pharmaceutical, herbal pharmaceuticals, the herbal supplement segment is larger, consumes now larger than the pharmaceutical market. And this is on the basis of the data that we have from the previous 2016 to 2022. So when we are looking at this data, so we are looking at these herbal sector not only from the point of view of elevating disease conditions, but also from the nutraceutical supplements and all those segments from this. And it's just to give an idea that what globally people have, agencies have tried to evaluate the size of the global size of the market, whether it's now it depends how people take it. See, if wellness industry, it's a much more larger industry, and the market size is 4,500 billion. But when it comes to herbal medicine or global Ayurveda market, the size is definitely different, lower. But we have these figures, and why I am saying that these figures are important in guiding us, strategizing our strategies, is because whatever we may say sentimentally, unless we have some substantial data to support our convictions, our sentiments, we will not be able to convince people. We will not be able to convince society. We will not be able to start our entrepreneurial journey. So these figures, they, whatever way we look at them, they definitely encourage us to go ahead, move ahead into this sector. This is especially important for those in the audience who are likely to be a future entrepreneurs or potential entrepreneurs, who always have this apprehension कि पता नहीं क्या होगा, how much would be the market size, how much market will accept me, what is the scope of the market and future expansion. If we look at the CAGR, cumulative annual growth rate, it is anywhere between 5 and 20%, which is very healthy, especially. And as far as this, again, there's a prediction, assumption and prediction that by 2050, this herbal industry global market would be about 5 trillion US dollars. So that gives us encouragement. That should inspire us. And this. And as far as we are concerned, our country is concerned, many of us in the audience know it, that we are one of the 17 mega biodiversity countries, 8 largest with 45,000 species, 11% of the world's total. We have 4 hotspots: Himalayas, Indo-Burma, Sunderland, Western Ghats, and there are about 6,000 or 7,000 species of medicinal plants. About 1,100 species are in trade, out of which 242 are high consumption. And 23% of our geographical area is under forest, with 16 major forest types. We have 15 agroclimatic zones which support rich biodiversity of MAB, and we have 34 herbal markets in our country. Khariboli being the major one, then Amritsar market, Neemuch, Mumbai, Damtari, Virudnagar being amongst the few. So that gives us an idea what are our relative strengths when it comes to plants and the herbals. And this is again some data which tells us where from these plants are coming. Because as we know this, when we are talking about medicinal plants, we are essentially talking about plants, and these plants occur across different geographical regions, across other community regions. So whether they are from forests or tropical forests or temperate forests or cultivated or wastelands. So they are coming from the tropical forest, and they also come from the temperate forest. There is some 20% cultivation input, and then the part-wise plant. See, the biggest thing about medicinal plants we have to keep in mind that medicinal plant, even if we take one plant, the same plant may have different usages depending upon which part we are using. So whether we are using it the root or the leaf or the bark or anything like that. Then consumption, how much is the consumption in terms of the raw material usage? 650,000 metric tons has been estimated in 2020. And this cultivated area under MAP has also increased. In 2005, it was about 2.6 lakh hectares. Now it has doubled in 2040. We have the latest authoritative figures as far as this data is concerned is of 2014, which is again 8 or 9 years old now. But still then, that gives us an idea that it would be much more now. It will be much more than 5 lakh. But how much it is, we don't exactly know the figure. And when it comes to the industry size in our country, again, many studies have been undertaken. Ayush by CII in 2020 estimated it to be of $15 billion. And same ICSI CII in 2018 has said that Ayurvedic industry is about $3 billion in our country, and Ved Goraya, as far as Ayurveda is concerned, it's about 2.85 billion US dollars in 2014-15. Now, different people, different agencies, different groups have used different concepts to evaluate whether they do it in Ayurveda, whether they do it Ayush, where all other systems of Ayurveda, Unani, Siddha, etc. are included. Now, we know in our country we have Dabur, Patanjali, GlaxoSmith, Marico. They are some of the major players. And how much is their annual turnover? And our turnover by 2020 is estimated, the Ayush turnover was about 30,000 crores per year. So that gives us an idea how big or small is this industry in our country. And we do export, and let me say one thing that our top destinations of export are USA, Germany, Vietnam, Italy, UK, Japan, China, and UAE. And one positive thing about this Ayush products export or import is that this is probably the only sector of our economy where we have a positive trade balance. We export more than what we import. That should give us a strength. That gives us more strength because there's a demand world over, and when we are trying to bring in entrepreneurship and trying to venture into this area, we don't have to look to the regional or the national markets only. We have to look at the international market where there's a lot of interest has been generated, and there's a lot of demand. And for the last many years now, India, as far as Ayush is concerned, has always maintained this positive trade balance. Look at this Ayush exports in different years from 2017 to 2022, from 456 US million dollars that we exported in 2022-23, the last financial year, we exported $628 million worth of Ayush and herbals, and which is a jump of about 37% over 2018 figures. Very healthy figures, very important, very impressive figures. and they should always motivate us. Such figures should motivate us. Now, this is the top 40 herbs in international market, and out of these, the 11 which are shaded in yellow, these are the Indian species, and the figures mentioned against the Indian plants as the Indian consumption by the Indian industry per annum, annual. If it is turmeric, flaxseed, garcinia, aloe, ginger, fenugreek, garlic, senna, boswellia, fennel, and ashwagandha, we have the figures with them. Of course, aloe vera is the topmost, 15,000 tons. These are estimates, but good should be good estimates. Followed by ashwagandha, 4,000 metric tons per year. So they give us an idea. See, these informations or data are important from entrepreneurship point of view, mainly because that gives us an idea where the scope lies, where the demand is. So that basically should narrow down our choices. If we are thinking of doing some entrepreneurship in medicine plants, what actually should we be doing? And where is the market? Where is the scope? Where is the demand? So these small data have to be looked at critically. So we know marketing opportunities, whether we want to do it in the phytopharmaceuticals, we want to do it in the medicines, botanicals, we want to do it in nutraceuticals or cosmeceuticals. We all agree and accept that our healthcare may be different by year 2030 as WHO and India usher in achieve. It is expected by the healthcare that we experience now and healthcare that we will be experiencing by another 7 or 10 years, it will be different. It will be mostly, it would be an integration of all the therapies and the therapies that are available. No longer will we be compartmentalized. Right now, what is happening? We are compartmentalized as far as health system is concerned. If I go to an allopath, so I get bound to an allopath and his kind of medicament and system. If I go to an Ayurveda acharya or some naturopath, the line segmentation becomes critical. It's a different kind of commodity that he will be dealing with it. But then, what we are feeling that we all understand that this health is and they have no health system world over is perfect. But what is important is that all those health systems, they have their own strong points. And as a human, if I fall sick, I should get the best of the treatment. I should get the best of the best practices should become available to it. So we will be seeing more and more integration of all these therapies and the best practices from all systems. And when it comes to that, and if it comes to more and more to naturals and the traditional therapies, the crux of this therapies are the plants. So if when this we'll be looking this health sector from that perspective, from entrepreneurship point of view, plants become more and more will become more and more into focus. And this is the data which I was saying before that when we look at the market size, a huge market size, the herbal plants, the plants only, they constitute about 43%. The nutraceuticals 24%. The pharmaceutical only 14%. This is what I was trying to do. That the nutraceutical component, the cosmeceutical component, the plant derivative, the plant extract, vis-a-vis pharmaceuticals is much more. The herbal plant is the raw material part. So this figure also should motivate us, should also give us some idea that if we want to enter into entrepreneurship and start our own entrepreneurial journey in this sector, what is the segment that we should be focusing on to begin with? Whether it's the herbal plant, so that takes us to say the cultivation, the raw material production, and all those things. Nutraceuticals, the preventive, the prophylactic kind of medicine. The pharmaceutical, it will be the core drugs in dealing. Pharmaceutical, next an ever expanding market. the plant derivative, plant extract, and all those things. So this is, but what is interesting now is that nutraceuticals are much more than pharmaceuticals. That should give us, that should take our thinking process to a different level now. And we all have got a lot of learning from the COVID-19 pandemic. And we all know what these plants are doing, and what COVID has taught us that we need to boost our innate immunity. We need to have a prophylactic approach. We have to use naturals, the more and more natural and organic things we have to bring into our day-to-day routine. And we should be using food as a prophylactic medicine, and nutrition as medicine. Food as prophylactic medicine and nutrition as a medicine. We are now thinking and discussing and narrating on these aspects much more vigorously. And we also need bioprospecting for antivirals. At that, during COVID time, we found our knowledge of plant-based antivirals to be very limited. The scientific validation of traditional therapies, yes, that is an ever increasing, that is an ever existing concern, and people have started doing it. They are doing it. We have some information about many of the therapies which have now been scientifically validated. But then much more needs to be done. And herbal nutrition instead of herbal medicine. So instead of using the word herbal medicine, it's better to use the word herbal nutrition. And because of all the strength that we have as a nation in the different forms of Ayush, and WHO has set up a World Global Center for Traditional Medicine in Jammu. And because of this WHO and Indian collaboration, that this medicine healthcare is undergoing, will be undergoing a sea change in next decade. Because we have this WHO observations also that giloy, tulsi, haldi, dalchini, honey, etc. could counter the severity of the pandemic and counter global drug shortages. So they have accepted globally. It has now been accepted that the traditional therapies that we have, the traditional plants that we have with us, we have been using in different ways and means, they have helped us to a very large extent in overcoming this pandemic. But then this all is leading to a situation when we know the national trade, the international trade, the ever increasing demand for the raw material. It's only going to increase further demand on the material. And the question that we need to ask us and pose to the society at large, that as a nation, as a community, are we ready for it? No, this may sound to be a caution. This is a cautionary statement, no doubt. But then an entrepreneur would look this at as an opportunity. That if there is shortcoming on some front, as far as this is concerned, so there's a scope to step into it. So that gives us an option for entrepreneurship. But simultaneously, we have this concerns about climate change. The sustainability has become our core mantra for whatever we are doing has to be ecologically, economically sustainable. And more so when it comes to plants, it is the ecological component that is important. That anything that we get from nature, whether we get it as a raw material or whether we cultivate it, grow it, it has the whole process, the whole activity has to be very much sustainable. And we all know about these sustainable goals, the 17 sustainable goals that we have given, UNO has given, and India is a signatory to it. These were given in 2015, and 15 years have been given to them to attain these 17 sustainable goals. And the timeline for attaining these goals is 2030, just seven years away from now. And look at the goal number 3. The sustainable goal is good health and well-being. Now, since we are in this audience, in this meeting, we are people who are core sentimentally attached to the medicines, the herbal medicine and the plants. We all realize immediately that good health and well-being goal can be achieved only when we fully, economically, and sustainably integrate plants into this whole healthcare, good health and well-being sector. So that brings us. So it's not only the commerce part of it. Our activities or enterprises or entrepreneurship would always be in sync with the global sustainability goals, especially the goal number three, good health and well-being. And we know that when it comes to ecological, social, and economic dimensions, medicinal plant sustainability concerns relate to their long-term availability and management, and harvesting, habitat loss and degradation, climate change, unsustainable cultivation practices, poor implementation of regulations and standards, erosion of traditional knowledge and culture. These are some of the sustainability issues that we confront. And addressing these sustainability issues require multifaceted approach. May require conservation, sustainable cultivation practices, community engagement, policy development, and most importantly, the collaboration between various stakeholders, including governments, indigenous communities, researchers, and the private sector. So if we have to really achieve and attain that goal number three, using plants and herbal plants especially, we have to address these issues. And as an entrepreneur, again, I'll be looking at these issues from a point of view of an opportunity, that which is the area where I should be entering and starting our entrepreneurship. So, what is entrepreneurship? I need not tell, most of you will know it, that entrepreneurship is recognized as a fundamental engine for economic development, triggering job creation and improved products and services. But generally, this does not necessarily imply that positive social and environmental values are also created as it. So, this entrepreneurial activity has strong negative environmental impact with an often associated negative social impact. So we have to be sensitive to all this. So whenever we start this entrepreneurship or think of any entrepreneurial activity, sustainability has to be kept at the center stage of our activity. And sustainable entrepreneurship, this is opportunity oriented, aimed at generating new products, services, processes, techniques, way at sustainably lower social and environmental impact, and thereby improving the quality of life. So this has to core center of our entrepreneurship. Now, we all accept and agree that to address one of the core issues of sustainability in medicinal plants, the growing of these medicinal plants is very important. So probably we cannot achieve 100% sustainability, especially in those species where there is a large demand for raw material without undertaking large scale cultivation. And that is why we have many species of medicinal plants now under cultivation in our countries, and their footprint in cultivation is increasing, because this cultivation gives us and solves many of the challenges of wild cultivation. But then at the same time, this cultivation has certain shortcomings. Like when we go for cultivation, so we require high yielding genotypes, and we require suitable agronomical practices. So no, we all except Dr. Khanuja, when he was interested in my work in the Himalayan plants especially, this is my biggest pain, and this is my biggest concern, that despite so many one of the important medicinal plants occurring in the Himalayan region, we don't have a single elite variety available in any of them. Although many of the species of the Himalayan, like say for instance Picrorhiza, they have come under cultivation, but we don't have elite varieties available. And a situation like these, they do impede our sustainability efforts. And anything that impedes any of these sustainability efforts from an entrepreneur, a knowledgeable entrepreneur, skilled entrepreneur, should see an opportunity here. Genetic improvement, like these are some Sapodophyllum, Aconitum, Pictuosa, Surya Coaster. We don't have improvement is very meager, and we don't have elite varieties in any of these species. And whenever we talk about sustainability, we also have to talk about profitability, and the profitability requires quality planting materials. And for instance, the characterized varieties we need to have so that we can productivity can increase, so that we can get much more from the same unit of land. But then we don't have that. So what do we do? So we can have in some ways an entrepreneur, especially those of who are knowledgeable in this field, they can start a limited entrepreneurship in genetic improvement of selective medicine. Why? Why can't we do it? Why can't we optimize genetic potential of what is available by improving the agronomy? Even if we have a particular genotype growing somewhere or being under cultivation, an entrepreneur can step in and improve the agronomy of that field and that region. We can engage with these farmers, producers, organizations, and find out their what kind of an input and hand holding they require. And as a knowledgeable entrepreneur, knowledgeable person interested in this field, can step into it. I'll quote an example of say this Hariman variety in apple from Himachal, which is a very low chilling variety, and because of which this apple cultivation has spread to many parts of Uttar Pradesh, many parts of Karnataka, many parts of Haryana, and some parts of Punjab also. Apple, we know generally we consider a temperate species. A temperate is the Himalayas, J&K, or Himachal comes to our mind. But now this apple has spread to many more regions which are not temperate, which are subtropical conditions. And the Hariman variety is the name of the farmer, is Hariman Sharma, who identified and developed and propagated and multiplied and also spread this variety. So it's not that we have to look to the government public agencies only for genetic improvement. We can have our own enterprise. We can have our own individual dash. Not that we will be talking about all species, but the species which are more accessible to us and where we are located. I'll be talking in further how we should go about entrepreneurship. That this is an area, it's a virgin area. I personally believe that this characterized variety availability in most of the commercially available plant, commercially important plants is very much required. And this is another list of plants which is on the negative list of exports of the government of India. Now, fine, this is a negative list. We all know why they are there, because we don't want to export something for which we have local demand also. They are endangered, they have limited growth, they are endemic to certain regions. There are various reasons for them where the government has decided not to export. But an entrepreneur should look at this as an opportunity, because these are going to be the species of future. Like for instance, Picrorhiza curva is also here. And we all know that due to the efforts of certain farmers of Uttarakhand, we have a lot more success achieved in Picrorhiza curva as far as commercial cultivation is concerned. And that commercial, what has that done? A positive attribute. We had done a project in our country where we were given two species, Suvarsha Charata and Picrorhiza curva, to assess the genuineness of this species in market. And what we went to all the markets in our country through a network. We had that network, and we physically went to the retailer and purchased samples of Picrorhiza and samples of Suvarsha Charata. And let me tell you, 83% of the Picrorhiza samples turned out to be genuine. And on the other hand, 95% of the samples of Suvarsha chareta turned out to be fake adulterated. Just because picrorhiza cultivation has been taken up by some farmers in Uttarakhand, and that is why we have all the genuine plant material coming into it. And farmers there are doing well; they are happy with this. Although one would like to increase the profit, that's a separate thing, that's a separate issue. But then an activity can be started. Similarly, there are other species of species here which are at various stages of commercialization, like Susuria costa, Ravolfia, this Suvarsha chareta, and some Coptis theta, Dactylorhiza. But then much more can be done. There's a lot of their technologies available, limited technologies are available, no doubt. But then an entrepreneur can start built upon the knowledge available and start doing things. There can be a situation where someone would be needing hand holding, but people who have some experience are available to hand hold also. Like these are highly traded plants of Himalayas, and they all need, and most of them are wild harvested. Most of them, they are not under large scale cultivation, excepting for picrorhiza one now. They all need sustainable harvesting and processing solutions. And here, entrepreneurs can step in. Those who have idea of agronomy, those who have idea of genetic improvement, those who have idea of processing, those who have idea of marketing, those who have idea of how to develop marketing chains or value chains, they can step in and provide much more, provide input where their production can be sustainable, their harvesting can be sustainable, or the processing can become sustainable. See, one of the biggest reasons, or I may not call it a reason, but an impediment is when we look at the medicinal plant sector, we look it as a uniform sector. When we talk about medicinal plants, so we generally prophesize or strategize medicinal plants as a homogeneous and try to give common solutions or give common reasons for the shortcomings or the hurdles that are being faced. No, we have to leave that behind. That approach we have to leave behind, because these medicinal plants, they are just an assemblage of various plant species commonly used in disease amelioration. Beyond that, none of the species constituting the whole medicinal plant group has no similarity to each other. If we have to manage, say, moringa, we cannot probably use the strategy used in, say, amla. When we have to handle Podophyllum hexandra, we cannot use Picrorhiza curva as the model. All species are independent. So whenever we have to engage in a public discourse, and bringing in entrepreneurship, rather than thinking broadly in medicinal plant as a group, we should be thinking of a particular species. We have to bring in the species specific approach, and because they have all their specific biology, growth, metabolism, climatic adaptation, socioeconomic value, etc. And last mile knowledge transfer, despite all the activities and knowledge generation and value addition developed by all those public and private sector agencies, still the last mile knowledge transfer still is a weak link. And this weak link can be filled by an enterprising entrepreneur. Because whether it's in terms of knowledge transfer, hand holding, helping in finances, helping in developing value chains, the scope for an entrepreneur is there. And this is the area where one should try to step in. Generally speaking, when we talk about what are the entrepreneurship opportunities in medicinal plants, we have that cultivation is an option, and these species which have known therapeutical properties and demand like aloe vera, mint, ascan, saffron, isabgol, kutki. They could be the candidate species. Then certified goods, quality seeds, characterized and graded plant parts. We still are far away from a platform and for an entrepreneur who is providing us or who will provide us quality certified seeds of different medicine plants. We do have uh, agencies which give us seeds, but not characterized, but not quality seeds. So there's an entrepreneurship scope here. And then characterized and graded plant where you visit most of these mandis. I was talking about 34 mandis. Most of these mandis, the people, they trade in the raw material as a raw material, roots of ashwagandha, leaves of senna, like that. But an entrepreneur can start trading in the goods which are characterized, how much of ethanol, how much of stenocyte, how much of the, because that would add value to his product, and but will also give an assurance to the buyer that yes, I am going to get this much of control. Ultimately, most of the they are chemically processed later on. So the buyer or processor needs to know how much I am ultimately going to get, and thereby a better remuneration. So characterizing grades, plant parts, another venture one can step into. Quality seeds, another venture. Then herbal product manufacturing, the list is limitless. Herbal teas, tisanes, infusions. In this, China has this wonder. They are using about 200 plant species for teas. Generally, when you talk to anyone in the country and in the society, what is the tea? Tea is Camellia sinensis. But now this Camellia sinensis now also needs to be fortified by things. Although we have some done limited fortifying it with Banapsha or Tulsi and Ashwagandha. But there are many more species which can be either used as tisanes or standalone teas, or they can be made into these herbal teas. So that is a venture that one can start. Essential oils, creams, tinctures, aromatherapy products, perfumes. That's another area of herbal product manufacturing. Dietary supplements, nutrient dense, full of fiber, healthy fats, proteins, vitamins, and minerals. Herbal powders and over-the-counter products like ashwagandha powder, stevia powder, moringa powder, etc. They can be made into and commercialized. Herbal juices, sherbets, herbal drinks. We already have these in market, but this is an increasing market, and we can intervene here because these are fast-moving consumer goods, and fast-moving consumer goods, the society keeps on consuming them, so there always needs to be replenishment. Just like herbal chocolate, sweets, sugar-free sweets, diet chocolates, toffees, candies. That is an area where we can enter as an entrepreneur. Then organic farming and certification. There's more and more of resonance that our raw materials should be pesticide free. We should have organically certified products. Yes, that's another area of activity as far as these herbals are concerned, where entrepreneurs can step in. And natural skin care and beauty products. This is I personally think a very huge untapped source. We still need to do much more, although there are several players have their products in market, but the demand is limitless because we are a country of different economies, and not that everyone is rich, but not but that doesn't mean those who cannot afford don't want to look good or don't want to use these beauty products. So at what scale, at what price point you are able to intervene and cater to that niche market. Now, as an entrepreneur, it's nobody's idea that our products should cater to the entire length and breadth of the society. We should not do that. Cannot do that. We can never have it. We will always have a limited scope in a limited niche market. So even if it is only 1% of market, we have the size of our market can be in a country of 140 crore people, at least 1 crore we can have the customers, even if we cater to only 1% of the world. So that's what kind of a product you are going to make, and what kind of a product you are going to reach out, and who's going to be your client later on. So that should determine our decisions to what kind of a product we should enter into. Herbal nutraceutical, beta carotene, curcumin, that stuff we all know all for them. They can be there other options of entrepreneurship, and total and active content enriched extract, bioactive compound like alkali, terpene, they're all time tested components which have national and international demand and continuing demand. And if we can invest into the technology of extraction and set up a plant, we can even enter into this kind of a thing. Then herbal pesticides, neem, pyrethrum, pyrethrin, but then there are beyond neem and pyrethrum, there are many other species which are now established as good sources of pesticides, and these pesticides it can include insecticides, weedicides, all those which is herbal. So the area of entrepreneurship where we want to enter should always be determined by our capacity and the capability. It should not that we should try to just looking at the list. We should try to enter in every segment. No, we should not do that, because if we try to enter in every segment, then we are sure to come out as a failure. So we have to be very careful. And then retail and e-commerce. Yes, that's another way of how we can do this start our entrepreneurship. Herbal consultancy and services. If one is knowledgeable, this is an area where there's a lot of ignorance. Even if Dr. Khanuja said after 65 years, I have started this entrepreneurship, and after I started it, I realized how much ignorant I am about this sector, because there are many aspects of this sector which I didn't know. I always would depend upon my CA and other people who would provide me advice कि यहाँ पे ये करना है, यहाँ पे ये करना है. So those who have that kind of an aptitude can also start herbal consultancy services, because there are so many compliances that we have to make, and somebody should know the entire process, and somebody can help us out there. Then why not herbal education and training? We can start training or and guiding individuals, because there are so many people out there who don't want to be part of the main just going to a college or a university and doing a course and then being labeled as a herbal specialist or a herbal or botanist or whatever it is. But there's a whole lot of people in the industry especially where individuals are very much interested in diversifying into this kind of an sector, and they're looking for one-to-one trainers. So individuals, those who have this kind of a knowledge and experience can engage into this kind of an activity, and there are so many demands for this sector. So we it requires strong knowledge base and adherence to regulations and policy, and we all need to remain updated to the latest research certifications and the industry trends. It's not just only what happens in the academic or research side, but what is also happening on the industry side. We also need to be equally sensitive and responsive to that. So basic rules is like any other business. We should have a clear motivation to start a business, and we should be willing to work on be prepared to take responsibility, and we need to organize a very flexible work schedule, but ready to work longer. Flexible work schedule doesn't mean that I start late in the morning and wind up very early. It all depends upon the demands of the work, how much we should do and how much I should work. And we should have very clear idea for customers, who they are and what can be sold to them and what are their expectations. And we have to correctly evaluate our finances, resources, workforce, time. Only then we should venture into this. There are the 6 P's that I always talk about when we talk about medicinal plant entrepreneurship: the production, processing, product development, packaging, promotion, and policy. Now, as an entrepreneur, my strong counsel and advice to any entrepreneur is never try to begin your entrepreneurship journey in medicinal plants using all these 6 P's. Choose the best P that fits your pocket, that fits your capability, that fits your strength, and that fits your resource. And start with that. Because if you try to go into everything, production, processing, packaging, marketing, everything, surely that is not the recipe for success. Choose any P, whether you want to go into production, be limited production into production activity, do whatever best is to be done there and do well there, or processing, set up that kind of a plan. Because this 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 is very important to minimize startup meltdown. One of the biggest concerns facing our country is the startup meltdown. We start with a lot of enthusiasm, but most of these startups or entrepreneurs, they fold up very quickly because they are not able to find their moving. They are not able to channelize their sentiment in the proper direction. So this is happening when it comes to medicinal plants, because problem with this, when I was earlier speaking about the species specific approach, that whenever we try to attend some training program or any brainstorming program, we generalize many things there because those are the training programs, say medicinal plants. Their training programs are herbal medicine. There we are getting a very contradictory signal, because when we talk about, we have a particular species in mind, but we have the example of some other species, and we try to believe that the same success can be repeated in your species of choice. That never happens. So we have to be very careful about what are our choices when it comes to the entrepreneurship, whether we want to go to the production. So which species we need to grow, that is becomes important. If we want to process, that what we want to process and where, how we want to process, and what for we want to process. So which product development we want to develop, and how can be, what can be consumable form, what can, how it can be marketed, or is it marketed. Packaging. Ask me, in my last 2 years, my maximum time has been consumed by considering issues on packaging, promotion, and policy. Not the first P, because I was totally ignorant about all the packaging, promotion, and when I talk about policy, there are so many regulations, and compliances that you have to make. So one has to be an expert. That's why I'm said I had to hire people who could advise me, see what are the things that we have to do. So and there I thought that that can be a good entrepreneurship option for someone who knows many things about the medicinal plant but does not know this. So one should read more and more about policy and become a policy expert on herbal medicine entrepreneurship. Like promotion, how we can market, branding, because branding is important, because unless somebody knows that this product is coming from being sold under a particular brand, comes with some brand assurance, only then you will have a success at the retail point. Without branding, nothing sells, maybe word of mouth. So whenever we are talking about it, we have to keep this meltdown factor also in mind. So for that, we have to begin making our correct choices. These are some of the species which I personally believe that there are. I will not go into the details of each one of these individual species as to what are the options, because I believe that whatever entrepreneurship has to be done and whatever entrepreneurship options have to be availed by anyone, that can be and has to be done at an individual level. We can never provide a generic solution that these are the things that everyone should do. We can speak generically, giving us you the idea, but what is the specific idea that you pick up ultimately will all depend upon the individual. So the individual can be given an advice that what can be done. Like for instance, this saffron. Who does not want saffron to use saffron? But saffron is very costly, and it has to be mainstream as far as utilization and consumption is concerned. You have to undertake certain strategies in saffron where the production can be optimized, and where its availability to the general masses can be increased in a much more cost friendly way than it is now. So I see an entrepreneurial role here. Like this rhododendron arboretum, we all know that this is a good juice, but we still don't have much of this product lines available in the larger market. Although we know these leaves and flowers especially, they are important components, and we already have certain products in market. But this is one thing which needs to be expanded, scaled up, where the technologies are available, the markets are there, but then the entrepreneur, an enthusiastic entrepreneur, I believe, is not simply there. And there is a process also known how it can be made into different kind of juices, jams, sauces, chutneys, pharmaceutical, bakery, candies, etc., etc. But then these needs to be commercialized, taken up by the entrepreneur. Like this sea buckthorn, for instance. The whole cold desert region is full of these Ladakh and Kinnaur and all those regions, Lahore Spiti actually. But we had for some time this layberry in market, and there's a wonderful technology developed by DRDO and other agencies. But why don't we see the product in the market? Definitely, there is some linkage issue. People, because the resource is in the cold desert region, the market is in the plain region. So, inter-region connectivity is one thing which actually an enthusiastic entrepreneur can solve. So, some entrepreneur or an individual entrepreneur who is more interested in such products can think of a strategy, and where this can see the light of this. This should reach. I think this is one of the very potential nutraceutical, and this should reach larger market. Swarsha charata, I said before also. Swarsha charata is also in that negative list of species, and this is one of the bitterest component known so far, amarocin. These European beers and liquors, the bitterness is because of amarocin. And this is a critically endangered species, and there is demand in the market for Swarsha charata, but I said before also we did a project on this species, and we found that 93% of the samples which are being sold under the name of charata in India is fake. It is not Swarsha charata. Just because the name Swarsha, the charata, is sold under the name charata, because the charata has its own meaning. Because the liver tonic, anti-helminthic, so many things, so many attributes, benefits are attached to it. So it needs to be cultivation needs to be scaled up. The entire cultivation process has been standardized. The genuine material is present with us, but it needs to be scaled up. Although there are some farmers who have now started cultivating it, but the cultivation footprint has to expand to a much larger area, and also then the processing. So again, an option for an entrepreneur. Picroriza, I said it's already a success story, but then there are many processing technologies where they are available, but the scope is much more is still there, and then it needs to. Now this Picroriza curva, this is an endemic to the Himalayas. but it has a worldwide demand, whether it is US or Europe, all those, it gets exported there because now we have the raw material, but we have the raw material, and it also gets exported through the illegal means. But now, because of the cultivation footprint has increased, now the exports have become much more transparent. But there is now a processing industry is not up to the scale as it demands. So the processing process the candidate species for processing, because cultivation already, I think large number of farmers have already started growing it in Uttarakhand, but its cultivation can be spread to other areas, Himachal and J&K, etc. Another Nardo snake is grandiflora. India is the largest importer, and this is a critically endangered again. Needs used as an incense, flavoring agent, quality perfume, and many other applications treating insomnia, epilepsy, the Jatamansi of trade. And India imports it from other countries, Nepal especially. So again, and choice species for entrepreneurship, Aconitum heterophyllum, already under cultivation, but again needs to be expanded, scaled up. Stevia, don't know why stevia is not picking up as a zero-calorie sweetener, because it has no negative attributes, at least not which are prominent. India has the largest diabetics, and those, not that it treats diabetes, but it helps those people who have a sweet tooth, and but then cannot take common sucrose and all other aspartames and sucraloses that are in market now. They have reports are coming. They have a lot of side effects. And so far, we have not come across anything significantly side effects of stevia. So it's a candidate species for much more expansion. Wild marigold, talking about aromatics, in India imports tagetes oil for various uses, and this has also emerged as a species in those regions where there's a lot of man-animal conflict. And many of the traditional agriculture areas in Himachal, they have stopped growing vegetables in other regions because they just cannot manage the vermin problem, especially the monkeys. And species like these have stepped in, and CSIR and other agencies, they under their ANOVA mission are very vigorous in expanding its footprint. And this tagetes, apart from being an aromatic, also has nematicidal activity. So some of the industries who can and have interest in extracting these nematicidal components can start thinking of a venture on medical basis. Lavender lavender farming has taken up significantly, especially in certain areas of J&K, and value-added products, not only in the oil and oil-based perfume. That is an entrepreneurship opportunity. Rose, the Damascena, we all know, Bulgarian rose, how important it has been, how important it still is. So people can do it. Rosemary is emerging, another potential crop of leaf, and not only because as a perfume, but because of its preventing brain aging component, carcinol and other things. And many of the studies that are now coming are attributing rosemary with, especially the rosemary oil, with boosting memory and preventing brain aging. So that is another species. And India, incidentally, I will tell you, although this is not an Indian plant, but now I'll be showing the trade figures. The India is exporting rosemary now. From India, it goes out. So that's a surprise. But people have started growing rosemary to an extent where they can they can export it also. And that can also be an opinion that although many of the people in country, they don't know many things about or the importance of rosemary, so they are not showing much of an interest. So situation can be like that. It can be like that. But then the thing is, rosemary has become localized in many parts of the country, and this is a species where entrepreneurships can come in, step in, and start growing it, using the herb as a culinary, using the herb as a perfume, extracting the oil, and of course using it for the brain aging components and cancer and protection against macular degeneration. Carcinic acid, especially, has emerged as the key molecule present in this rosemary. And this chamomile, I'm personally a very fan of this chamomile tea. This chamomile tea, a German tea, a German chamomile tea. This is a wonder tea, especially if somebody wants to calm nerves, should take the tea of its flowers, the flowers. And this is under research for its potential anti-anxiety property. One of the major problem being faced by our young generation today is the anxiety. I keep on talking to my children, and they say, "What is the challenge you have?" They said, "Today generation faces challenge, anxiety, and so anything that you can provide them to overcome their anxiety should be a success." So I personally feel people should venture into Matricaria chamomilla, whether it's for cultivation or for processing or for making a chamomile tea. Choices are yours, choices are there, but then holds a lot of promise. So when we have to some sort of refine our ideas about into entrepreneurship, what kind of an entrepreneurship we should, which are the species. And I said, unless we adopt our species specific approach, we will not be able to do much about it. So which are the species which have a scope, which have a market? And I personally believe that anything that is goes exported out of the country, should be looked at positively. So this data gives you an idea that which are the things which are going out of the country. And this is the trend for last 4 years, 2014 to 2020. And this gives us an idea from ginseng to poppy, ephedra, and psyllium seed, neem seed, jojoba seed. All these ingredients which are being exported under their independent HC codes. Because the problem with our this herbal is that when it comes to international trade, all those species which are being traded, they don't have their independent HS codes. So it's only those which have a significant international trade presence. Only those species have independent HS codes. But as far as others, they have a generalized, like this last HS code. Other plants and parts of plants used in perfumery, pharmacy, insecticidal, fungicide purpose, fresh, dry, everything gets clubbed under one HS code. So this no doubt diminishes the value of your raw material. But then this is how the international trade happens. So we cannot change. As long as we cannot change it, we can build pressure on the government. Whenever I get an opportunity on any platform, I always speak that every plant, every species which is going out of the country should have its own independent HS code. So there are about 1,000 species going out, so we should have about 1,000 HSN codes. But till that happens, we don't have. So I was talking about this rosemary. See here, this 12119094. It's under here basil, hyssop, rosemary, sage, savory, getting exported. So these are the ideas. These give us clue that these are the candidate species for our entrepreneurship. Similarly, when it comes to the extracts, again, this is the data for this 2014 to 2020, that gum arabic, Asian gum, Benjamin Rusk, Karaya gum, Tradican, Store, etc. Other extracts, these are the, see, most of the species that we talk about, the other extracts, they all get clumped. Again, the problem is there. But then, which are the major ones which have their HSN codes, and what is the other feature, how much it goes out. So it will help us in making appropriate decision. And then anyone who is interested and should always have this e-Charak. This is a very valuable app developed by National Medicine Plant Board, where you get all the important feature, all the important information uh, which are needed by you, like the commodity price. What is the price of a particular species? And if you want to sell it, if you want to buy it, you can post your requirement, and it gets immediately append on the website, on the app. So anyone who is interested should have it on their mobile smartphone, and you can have a totally different kind of knowledge as far as these medicine plants. So it's me here. Anybody needs some personal connection, they can contact me on these details. And with this, I thank you all for your patient hearing, and I'm open now for discussion and interaction.
So can you please unshare your slide?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much, sir. We learned a lot about the international scenario of trade as well as the entrepreneurial opportunities. So we also understood the 6 P's involved and what to take care of in case of one, one is planning a startup, many more things. Thank you so much. Thank you, sir, for such a. Am I audible?
Mm-hmm. Yes, I can.
Actually, due to network, I've stopped my video. Yeah, thank you, sir. So do we have any questions? Because, I got one question in the mail. Shall we address the question and answers first, or shall we
I
invite
think,
Professor Kanuja, sir?
Manika, we have Dr. Ramakant Halalka also present here.
Yes, I can
And
see.
he is a well-known entrepreneur in essential oil and aroma industry. So let's welcome him. Dr. Ramakant, if you can put on your video also. Okay, till the time he comes in, we, we always have a question, Dr. Rana. Your talk mainly has been on techno entrepreneurship, where rather than a person who is working on in villages doing basic cultivation, the next generation of them and the students who are now getting equipped with the technology can be greatly benefited by your talk. So if you were to identify some of the don'ts, do not do this when you are entering into medicinal plants or herbal business, what will be your take on it?
See, my first take would be you should always take an informed decision. You should never go by this sentiment, and one should never go by the successes of others. If I am succeeding in some venture, I am succeeding on the basis of my strength. That strength may not be his success. Number one. Number two, see, many times what happens is, and let me speak keeping some identity in the identity also. 2 weeks or 3 weeks back, I was at a university, and a professor who is on the verge of retirement comes to me कि डॉक्टर रैना मैंने सारा काम किया है, अब रिटायर हो रहा हूँ, I want to do something with herbals after post retirement. मैंने कहा क्या करना क्या सोचा है, तो बोला मैंने अभी सोचा कुछ नहीं. तो मैंने बोला नहीं, बट मेरे मन में आ गया कि ये कुछ नहीं करेगा, because if you have not thought what you have thought for so pretty long. So the same holds good for what you are situation. The people who want to do it in the remote areas. Problem with those situations, and I have personally seen those situations. And like for instance, in the example of Himachal, we were having more farmer enquiries for growing Safed Musli and aloe vera, without any regard for the local species, which is adapted to the local climates and local conditions, where the growing challenges are less. So any entrepreneur should not go by what is market. By सफेद musli will give me इतना, तो मुझे भी वहाँ मिलेगा, वो कभी नहीं होगा. So first and foremost, one has to evaluate what is the region. We can also advise them, but provided we have certain idea about the region specific, the field condition, and we can advise the species which they should go ahead. Number one. Number two, they should always consider the local flora and local species. Of course, that should have a commercial resonance. Anything local doesn't mean will transform immediately into currency. But then yes, ultimately one can start doing, but if you wanted to start revenuing a livelihood also, so that should have a resonance with the market. Number two. Number three, the figures and the data that we have, they should connect with people and agencies who can give them the right kind of advice as far as the marketing of the commodities is concerned. That's very important, because unless they establish market connectivity, they should not venture. I will not say blindly one should ensure, they should not go ahead, especially the very small thing, because there are many. So आजकल वो fashion बना हुआ herbal करेंगे, but they are not able to do big. And I always say that when if there is a knowledgeable graduate or a postgraduate, it's not necessary they should start with production. They should start with learning about the trade. Why don't they understand to set up an herbal business? What are the things that they can start consulting, they can start advising people around them. उसमें कुछ भी करना है, थोड़ा पता करना है. इंटरनेट, आजकल इंटरनेट is giving so much of and help us. Building a brand, promotional agency बना दी, packaging, providing a packaging services to the herbal. That is another aspect they should venture instead of going, because production है या processing है, product development, they require knowledge, technology, capacity, and machinery, all those things. I probably think it's not going to be everybody's cup of tea. So once they establish firmly into one aspect of this trade, this activity, then they can diversify. I'm not saying that should become a limiting, but then once they are confident, their strength, their revenue starts coming, they can delve into other aspects and expand into other fields. I think they should take my single word would be, they should take an informed decision as what they want to do, and they should definitely consult some mentor who can give them right advice. Then they should take it.
तो लोग आपसे ये भी जानना चाहेंगे, जो रैना नेचुरल्स है, आप अब एक एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप में हैं और आपने अपने व्याख्यान में बात करी थी सस्टेनेबल एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप को एज अपॉर्चुनिटी ड्रिवन एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप. तो मुझे लगता है कि आपका जो रैना नेचुरल्स एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप है या उद्यमिता है, ये उससे जरूर प्रभावित रहा होगा. तो अगर आप लोगों को ये समझा सकें कि रैना नेचुरल्स ने कैसे इसको एक रूप दिया और आज क्या कर रहे हैं रैना नेचुरल्स से, बड़ा अच्छा रहेगा.
हो तो मैं I will not be able to speak on that right now, because But then sustainability, there are three aspects to sustainability as far as this material, as far as this herbal is concerned. One is that my material, whatever is coming from a farmer, number one, and a farmer who is growing it, none of my material is coming from wild, number one. Number two, which you also mentioned when you were speaking, that the quality is that the first essentials of quality is the genuinity of the herb. I stand guarantee to my products that whatever is written on the label would be inside the bottle. Being privy to this industry, we know many times what is written on the label is not present inside the bottle, because there are a lot of substitutions and adulterations happening. That is my core. This is my first quality, that whatever will be inside the bottle or whatever will be written outside on the label would be present in it. So that is my basic another concern. And third is that it is to be, I am giving directions, advice to the farmers who are sourcing, who are producing the raw materials, and trying to bring in more and more sustainability into, trying to help them in increasing their productivity from the same unit of land, reducing their water input cost. And there are many things which I am trying to help farmers in many ways, because none of them my material is coming void, that is for sure. So that is my one way of looking at, and then trying to help, empowering the farmers, giving them personal one-to-one advices कि भाई यहाँ पे ऐसे करो, यहाँ नहीं ऐसे करो, वैसे करो, and show me the raw materials, जैसे मैं चेक करूँगा तब जाके it will go into my product line. तो ये चीजें बहुत important, because these are the which has influenced my professional career also. The genuineness of the material, and how we can use small knowledges and information that we have unraveled when we were dealing with different species, how that knowledge can be converted into some sort of a sustainable thing.
I think Dr. A.K. Singh might like to interact, being the leader in entrepreneurship sector. Yeah.
ये प्रोफेसर रैना, आपने जो टेम्परेट क्लाइमेट में उगने वाले प्लांट्स पे फोकस किया है, लेकिन इधर जो नॉर्थ इंडियन प्लेन्स के किसान हैं वो कुछ एक पौधों पर काम करते हैं, मेडिसिनल प्लांट्स पे, जैसे कि अश्वगंधा है, कालमेघ है, सतावर है, तुलसी है। तो आपके हिसाब से क्या राय देंगे कि एक दो प्लांट अच्छी तरीके से जिनका कि नेशनल और इंटरनेशनल मार्केट में ज्यादा डिमांड है इस वक्त?
I know problem क्या है, जो you mentioned ashwagandha is an expanding market, no doubt about it. I am not aware that I have a data that by 2020 में कितना anticipation है of the international trade in ashwagandha. Ashwagandha is going to increase. Will always say that ashwagandha should be the number one if the climatic condition and the soil conditions of those farmers allow ashwagandha. जरूर है कि because in the urge to have ashwagandha on their field, probably they may not get the kind of return that they are anticipating or expecting. So that is what ashwagandha would still be the number one. Yes, there are some technological inputs that are needed in ashwagandha, which a farmer like direct sowing versus transplanting, कुछ चीजें वहाँ पे वो hand holding की जरूरत पड़ेगी उनको. But ashwagandha should be the number one species. Second, you said mint. Of course, mint का तो कोई जवाब ही नहीं है. But which mint? Mint तो कौन सा mint? वो choice of the mint also has to be determined and advised to them which mint they should go into.
Mentha arvensis has got more area under cultivation. That's right.
And then
essential oils में बहुत दिक्कत नहीं है, लेकिन मेडिसिनल प्लांट्स में still there is a lot of confusion कि कुछ लोग प्रोड्यूस कर लेते हैं, मार्केटिंग में उनको डिफिकल्टी होती है. जी जी
तब आता है कि people grow first and then go to market with
या
their raw material.
दैट इज द प्रॉब्लम।
I am saying that they should first consult people कि भाई क्या लगाऊं. They should spend one season on that. उसके बाद लार्ज स्केल कल्टीवेशन शुरू करें, नॉट दी अदर वे राउंड के रॉ मटेरियल लेके. हमें पता है एक बार हमारे पास, जब मैं सोलन में था, हमारे पास एक बार जैसे लेक्चर में ऐसे दिया, तो उन दिनों तो ज्यादा एक्सपीरियंस भी नहीं था, तो नॉलेज में किसी ने बोल दिया होगा जी ये 10 स्पीशीज आप ग्रो करो, वो करो, ये करो, और फार्मर ने सीरियसली ले लिया, और एक साल के बाद फार्मर 2 बोरियां उठा के सोलनम लैसिनेटम की लाया हमारे पास. सोलनम लैसिनेटम मैं बताऊंगा, सोलोसिडीन रिच जो ये रशियन स्पीशीज है, उन दिनों हमारे वहां पे कोई प्रोजेक्ट कर रहे थे लैसिनेटम पे, उन्होंने बोल दिया होगा इट्स अ पोटेंशियल स्पीशीज. तो सोलनम लैसिनेटम की बेरीज काट के 2 बोरियां हमारे ऑफिस में लेके आए. जी आपने कहा था, आप बताओ भी कमजोर. मतलब
नहीं, आपने अच्छी सलाह दी कि मतलब पहले शुरू शुरू में ये मतलब इन्फॉर्म डिसीजन लेकर ही काम करें, और वो केवल ट्रेनिंग से संभव है. और आप जैसे अपने थ्रू या जो एक्सपर्ट्स हैं उनसे सलाह लेकर के या ट्रेनिंग लेकर के तभी आगे बढ़े, और छोटे एरिया से शुरू करें, धीरे धीरे मार्केटिंग डेवलप करें, then they can succeed properly.
कल्टीवेशन नहीं करे. मैं ये बार
जी
बार
जी
रहा हूँ कि मेरा एक्सपीरियंस है कि जो 6 में से पहले अपना पी चूज करेंगे, कौन सा कर पाएंगे वो.
हाँ, सबसे पहले सिलेक्शन ऑफ राइट प्लांट बिजनेसेस.
तो उस हिसाब से आहिस्ता आहिस्ता एक्सपैंड करें, कि सब कुछ इकट्ठे करने की चाहत में ना फिर कुछ नहीं हो पाता है. दैट इज माय.
नहीं, निश्चित रूप से किसान लोग इस पे गौर करेंगे, और हम लोग भी बताते रहते हैं फ्लोरा फौना साइंस फाउंडेशन के माध्यम से कि भाई पहले आप ट्रेनिंग ले और सलाह ले लें, ये विच इज रिक्वायर्ड, विच मटेरियल इज रिक्वायर्ड, किसकी डिमांड है, क्या करना चाहिए. और आपने आज अच्छा बताया कि बहुत से एरियाज हैं जो इम्पॉर्टेंट पीस ऑफ द मेडिसिनल प्लांट्स, तो उसमें कौन से एरिया में आगे बढ़ना है, दैट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, कि किस एरिया में बढ़ना है, ये एक डिसीजन लेना बहुत जरूरी है. अगर कोई और प्रश्न है डॉक्टर साहब, तो नहीं तो हम
मैं यहाँ पे थोड़ा डॉक्टर
जी
सिंह,
हाँ, डॉक्टर हरलाल का प्लीज, हरलाल का जी. हाँ
मैंने देखा काफी प्रस्तुति आपकी बहुत आलीशान थी, और अच्छा आपने
जी.
बहुत ही स्लाइड्स के माध्यम से हमारा सबका ज्ञान वर्धन किया. डॉक्टर रैना, आपका बहुत धन्यवाद. और डॉक्टर खनूजा ने भी बहुत अच्छे कमेंट दिए उसमें. मैं थोड़ा एक सुझाव छोटा सा देना चाहूंगा. अभी क्या है, रिसेंटली मैंने देखा है कि पहले हम लोग 40 साल से हैं इस लाइन में. पहले क्या है, 10 साल तक कोई भी चीज की सस्टेनेबिलिटी रह जाती थी. जैसे मैंथा के अंदर हमने डॉक्टर खनूजा के कार्यकाल में ही देखा था कि किस प्रकार से, और डॉक्टर सिंह भी थे हमारे, पूरा बिजनेस प्लानर थे कि भाई क्या ट्रेंड रहेगी. लेकिन अभी ट्रेंड इतनी उलट रही है, मैं आपको बताता हूँ, हर महीने अभी ट्रेंड बदल रही है. जो 10 साल में नहीं हुआ वो हर महीने बदल रहा है. मैं आपको कुछ साक्षात उदाहरण दूं. आपने बहुत अच्छा लेवेंडर का खेत दिखाया जिसपे पर्पल रिवॉल्यूशन है. अभी अगले दिन जितेंद्र कुमार जी ने आके हमारे वहाँ पे IIIM का उद्घाटन भी किया, जो लेवेंडर दिवस का. लेकिन वहाँ पे उन्होंने प्राइस रख दिया 10,000. अब 10,000 प्राइस कहाँ से उनको मिला, मेरे को समझ में नहीं आ रहा है. मुझे अच्छी तरह याद है, मैंने आपके सीमैप से शुरुआत की थी 600 रुपए में लेके लेवेंडर. तब 600 रुपए में मेरा धीरे धीरे करके छोटी बोतल में मैंने प्रमोट करना चालू किया, और वो बिक गया. और उस बात को हो गया, डॉक्टर सिंह आपको याद होगा 98 में अपन लोगों ने चालू किया था, डॉक्टर खनूजा को भी अच्छी तरह याद है. और बाद में वो RRL जम्मू को चला गया था. ये लंबी हिस्ट्री है, मैं उसको रिपीट नहीं करूंगा. मैंने लास्ट ईयर 10,000 रुपए में लेवेंडर ले लिया IIIM का, क्योंकि हमने एक अनुबंध कर रखा था उनके साथ में कि भाई हम लोग एज ए कमर्शियल ऑर्गेनाइजेशन सपोर्ट करेंगे. अभी मेरा भतीजा गया था वहां पे, 5,500 रुपए में लेवेंडर बिक नहीं रहा था. लोग उसके पीछे लग गए, बोला आप 5.5 क्या 5 में ले लो. जबकि IIIM का भाव अभी भी डॉक्टर साहब लोगों के मन में ये है कि 10,000 में ही बिक रहा है, और उनके स्पीच में आज भी वही भाव पड़ा हुआ है और वही वाइबिलिटी दिखा रहे हैं. तो ये गलत चीज हो जाती है. देखिए, मतलब मकई के कंपेयर में जो रिटर्न दिखा रहे हैं वो 5 गुना दिखा है, 10 गुना दिखा है. मैं बहुत राजी हूँ कि किसी किसान की आय में वृद्धि हो रही है, लेकिन उसको आप गुलाब का बगीचा दिखा के और उसको उसके बाद में बोलोगे कि ये हिबिस्कस का है और इसकी तुम आयुर्वेदिक दवाइयां बनाओ और ये इसका हेयर टॉनिक बनाओ, तो वो गलत हो जाता है। तो और तो और हमारे एरोमा मिशन के मीटिंग में डॉक्टर काजी ने खुद ने ये बात बोली कि लेवेंडर का फूल मैं लेने के लिए कई फार्मर को कांटेक्ट किया, तो उन लोगों ने मेरे को कोट किया कि हम जी 2,000 रुपये में देंगे। और मैंने मेरे 2-4 बायर्स को बोल दिया कि 2,000 रुपया। बोला बोला 2,000 रुपये में कितना, 10 किलो की बोरी है या 1 किलो का भाव है ये आपका? तो बोला बोला मेरे को सुननी और पड़ी कि बोला बोला अरे मालडोवा से और बल्गेरिया से जो आता है वो आपको पता नहीं है डॉक्टर साहब, 200 रुपये में लेवेंडर का फूल आता है और उसका आपका तेल का यील्ड निकालोगे तो 3,500 रुपया होता है। और वही बात रमेश वजय ने बोली। तो कहने का मेरा तात्पर्य, मैं एक छोटा सा लेवेंडर का उदाहरण इसके लिए दिया क्योंकि वो अपने इसमें फोटो दिखाई हुई थी और अपना एरोमा मिशन का एक साक्षात ज्वलंत उदाहरण है। पर्पल रिवॉल्यूशन उसके ऊपर काफी आधारित है, बहुत सक्सेस होगा हमारा पर्पल रिवॉल्यूशन, उसमें कोई दो राय नहीं है। लेकिन भाव की सही जानकारी किसान तक मुहैया कराना अत्यंत आवश्यक है, नहीं तो उसको गलत राह देके और उसके बाद में अगर आप कम दोगे ना तो वो अपने को ठगा हुआ महसूस करेगा। तो ऐसे में डायनेमिक चेंजेस, अभी मैं आपको कैंपर की स्टोरी बताऊं शॉर्ट में, मतलब 800 रुपये में कैंपर था, आज 400 रुपये में कोई लेने तैयार नहीं है। कैंपर एनालाइड का जो ओरिएंटल एरोमेटिक ने टेक ओवर किया था, उसके शेयर के भाव कल 300 रुपये आ गए। मैंने मेरी लिक्विडिटी ऑफ होल्ड की, मतलब क्योंकि मुझे लग रहा है उसका भविष्य इतना खराब हो गया। यूपी में एडवर्टाइजमेंट आ रहा है कि 1 करोड़ में 1,00,000 टन का प्लांट लगाओ खेत के अंदर, और लोग जुगाड़ का जो मैंथा के दंड कमंडल है उनको जुगाड़ करके और बैंकों से लोन दिला के वो लगा भी रहे हैं और उसमें प्रोडक्शन भी निकल रहा है। उसका मतलब चाइना को अभी एक्सपोर्ट करने की तैयारी हो गई हमारी यूपी से कैंपर की, जो कि हम लोग नेट आयातक थे। और यहाँ पे हमारे इधर महाड़ के अंदर कम से कम भी 6 प्लांट कैंपर की कॉपी करके 6,000 टन के लग चुके। तो 36,000 टन कौन खपाएगा बताओ? कोरोना चला गया, अभी वो कैंपर की डिमांड भी बहुत कम हो गई। तो ऐसे में डायनेमिक चेंज इतना तेज गति से बढ़ रहा है कि ऐसे में कंपनी की बैलेंस शीट एक साल में बहुत पॉजिटिव थी तो दूसरे साल में एकदम नेगेटिव होकर वो कंपनी बैंकरप्ट हो सकती है। तो मैं आपको अभी
बिल्कुल।
ज्यादा इसके ऊपर नहीं
नहीं, ठीक आपने,
व्याख्यान दूंगा,
नहीं
लेकिन
आपने अच्छी,
डायनेमिक चेंज मद्देनजर रखना चाहिए, बस इतना ही मेरा छोटा सा सुझाव था।
नहीं नहीं, अच्छा अच्छा सुझाव है, क्योंकि मार्केट में उतार चढ़ाव है। और जो उत्पादक हैं, प्रोडक्शन करने वालों को ये भी ध्यान देना है कि बाजार किस तरफ जा रही है, मार्केट का रेट क्या है। और बहुत ही ऊंचे दाम या वो सब जवाब नहीं दिखाना है। जो ट्रेनिंग दी जाती है, हमको पता है संस्थान में, जो साइंटिफिक संस्थान है, कि वहां पर कास्ट ऑफ कल्टीवेशन और अनुमानित जो उत्पादन है उसकी लागत वगैरह के बारे में बताया जाता है। और उससे अगर थोड़ा सा अधिक मूल्य पे मिलता है किसान को, तो निश्चित रूप से वो सस्टेनेबल भी होगा, फायदेमंद होगा। लेकिन बहुत ज्यादा दाम बढ़ा करके शायद वो चीज स्थायी नहीं रहेगी। आपने सही कहा, और इस पर भी ध्यान देना है, एक एरिया है विच इज नीड्स टू बी पेड अटेंशन। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद प्रोफेसर रैना को, कि आज उन्होंने इतने कम समय में एक गागर में सागर भरने का काम किया है। और डिफरेंट एस्पेक्ट्स ऑफ मेडिसिनल प्लांट्स एंड स्पेशली दी सस्टेनेबल एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप पर जो उन्होंने बात करी है, कि किस प्रकार से हम इसका उत्पादन भी स्थायी रखें और उद्यमिता को एक आकार दे सके, एक प्रारूप दे सके। निश्चित रूप से ये किसानों को, उद्यमियों को, वैज्ञानिकों को, रिसर्चर्स को, सभी के लिए लेक्चर्स एक मार्गदर्शक के रूप में काम करेगा। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद प्रोफेसर रैना कि आपने अपना बहुमूल्य समय निकाला और फ्लोरा फौना साइंस फाउंडेशन के मंच पर आकर हमसे बातें साझा की। और भविष्य में भी जब भी कभी जरूरत पड़ेगी, विशेष तौर पे ट्रेनिंग के लिए, प्रशिक्षण के लिए, खासतौर से जो नए उद्यमी हैं, किसान हैं, जो प्रशिक्षण इस क्षेत्र में लेना चाहते हैं, और कभी एक वर्कशॉप आयोजित करके उनको विशेष जानकारी दी जाएगी। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद एक बार फिर। और हमारे चेयरपर्सन प्रोफेसर कनुजा के मार्गदर्शन में ये वेब सीरीज आयोजित की जा रही है, हम उनका भी शुक्रिया अदा कर रहे हैं। और भविष्य में भी इसी तरह हम एक्सपर्ट्स आपके सामने लाएंगे। हमें पूरी उम्मीद है। और डॉक्टर मनिका जो हमारी साइंटिफिक प्रोग्राम एसोसिएट है, उन्होंने इस प्रोग्राम को होस्ट किया और संचालित किया। शायद वो बाहर टूर पे भी हैं और उन्होंने काफी इसमें सहयोग दिया है, हम उनको भी धन्यवाद देते हैं। और डॉक्टर रमाकांत जी जिन्होंने समय निकाल करके ज्वाइन किया और बहुत बहुमूल्य सुझाव दिया और एरोमा मिशन से बहुत ही निकट से वो जुड़े हैं। आपका बहुत योगदान रहा है एसेंशियल ऑयल इंडस्ट्री में। डॉक्टर रमाकांत जी आपका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। और जितने भी लिसनर्स लाइव जुड़े हैं उसमें यूट्यूब में, और इसकी रिकॉर्डिंग भी अवेलेबल होगी फेसबुक में, तो जो लोग भी बाद में देखेंगे सभी को बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद देते हुए आपसे विदा लेते हैं। अगले महीने फिर एक एक्सपर्ट के साथ हम आपके सामने उपस्थित होंगे। तब तक के लिए नमस्कार।
Thank you all. Thank you, Dr. Khanuja. Thank you, Dr. Singh, Dr. Ramak.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.